The new president will take over. The new again mid-March. In July, I'll give you the exact dates. It's the Wednesday, Thursday, and
First, I want to thank everyone for coming on the Saturday rainy day. Just great to see your faces, great to see your interest. You would have been listening to this song. It's called the Throat Song. Well, it's Buryat, Tuva, and Mongolian. As long as we were playing with the presentation, so with the people who were helping me, Marcus and Gabriel, were very efficient. Otherwise, you would have been listening for 2 or 3 minutes. But it's a traditional. It's a traditional Mongol singing that was like a shaman style that gradually was absorbed by the Buddhist practices as well. However, today we're going to talk about Mongolia, geopolitics, version 2.0. How many of you have been to Mongolia? Great. It's a country which is probably the most unknown for anyone who is not in Russia or in China. And the fact that, that's the place where I work in Moscow. I'm sorry, I did not introduce you. I like to talk about Mongolia and to talk about the culture. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vladislav Portnov. I'm the chairman of the committee for Mongolia-Russian partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. This is the building I go to often at the Linka, and we have various events there, including the visit of the Prime Minister of Mongolia, which was December the 4th. He came along with the team of ministers, Togbatar, who's my good friend, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, also mining, etc., etc. So we had like 30 Mongolians in Moscow at, 400 meters away from the Red Square. And it was fun. I left job, yeah. Batulga is the president of Mongolia, very strong player. Somewhat controversial as far as the opposition's perception is concerned. I like him. I know my government gets along with him, so it works for me, as you can tell. I use this more of to entertain you, because I will tell you about Mongolia from my experience, but you can go ahead and watch. This is the CV of Batulga. So he starts at basically trading commodities, just a simple man. He went to art school. He also he studied judo and sambo just to defend himself. There was no political thing behind it. Now it's quite a political sport, as you know. Mongolian president has the full power to basically veto any initiative unless the 2/3 of the Khural of the council votes for the initiative. The freedom. Mongolians traditionally are the nomads, and for a nomad it's very important to have a horse, to have ger or yurta. We can call it ger. Ger in Mongolia means house. It's very important for a nomad to be free. It's a huge country. It's only 3.5 million population now. Clearly, it was a threat and a horror for half of the European part and the Asian part. Now it's a decline of that cycle. But I believe that although there's a decline in terms of terrifying the world, this country is very potential as far as working with the natural resources. I personally work on attracting financing to the raw gold sector of Mongolia. Now I'm not the only one. Mongolia, yes. Americans are very keen to build partnership with Mongolia. As a matter of fact, there's for those who practice law, there's a very interesting case. Americans came up with a term called Third Neighbor Act, Third Neighbor Trade Act. Now there's no third neighbor of Mongolia, as you know, but Americans came up with a third neighbor idea. Whatever rocked the boat. But just to make it clear that it's not a political act, of course. It has to do with trading wool. So they basically said we're going to be like #1 buyer of the wool, but you have to accept this little sub law, if you will. It's not a law. It's like a legal statement. That's it. So I was not making it up. That. Mongolia, Russia. Familiar faces. The Prime Minister of Mongolia is a very pro-Russia kind of individual, a very strong politician. He's open to cooperating with other nations, so there's no exclusivity. But he's a very smart person, and he gets along with those people who want to build partnership and trade with Mongolia. So my friend, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Togbata, he went to Mgimo, so he's as Russian as it gets, and speaks fluent Russian and like 3 more languages, including some Asian languages. We met when he was between jobs, so it's not a political friendship. He was the minister, then he was not, then he is again. Minister and Prime Minister. Official part at that building with columns that I go often to, the Chamber of Commerce. My colleague on the right, the head of the National Chamber of Commerce of Mongolia, and on the left is one of my geology mentors. I call him. Is Badam Suren, the CEO of Erdenet. Erdenet is huge. It's like, speaking of the Russian terms, it's like Yevras Holding. So Erdenet is big, as you know. Official part. Tagansar. I want to mention this thing, just a little bit of cultural exposure. Tagansar is the holiday that is technically still in progress now. For the businesses, it's for 3 days, but for traditional Mongolians, it's a month. It means white month. It's the month when we visit the senior people, when we bring some special food to them, and I thought I would mention this as a little cultural exposure, because you don't know it unless you go to Mongolia. So basically, now Tagansar officially is over in the embassy of Mongolia in Russia or in UK, for example, in the UK. But that's the time when we respect the elders. Google it, Mongolia investments. My site would be probably number 3. I'm not paying Google anything, but I just have very good content with it, which I write myself both in English and in Russian. And I've chosen this picture to show that you have to. The door is ajar, but you have to open the door and explore more opportunities. And I got my business cards on my desk, and I'll be happy to talk during the refreshments and after hours. If you have any Q&A now, we still have probably a couple of minutes. Otherwise, sure. Thank you.
Right. I think this was originally supposed to be a discussion, so I think we can discuss now.